Hello, I'm Deborah Henson-Conant, and this is episode number 195 of Jung at Harp. I'm here today without my partner, Kathleen, because she's down with a cold. However, I have been in touch with her, and today we wanted to talk about gratitude. And what is gratitude? How can we experience it? Does it remove the shadow side of anger or resentment or fear or any of those? Or can it live together with them? Can it open things up? Each week we meet with a question, not with answers, but with a question to explore. I'm a composer, performer who tells stories with music and coaches other people in how to tell those stories as well as their own stories. And Kathleen is a Jungian psychoanalyst, and we both play the harp, and so we call this Jung at Harp. So this week I am here with Kathleen in absentia, but I wanted to connect again with you. We're on this platform where we can have a conversation, and I think that both Kathleen and I would say that a big part of our lives is about conversation, is about exploring ideas in conversation. And that's where we met. So while we don't have answers, we certainly, by looking at a question each week, explore both what we understand about something or what we come to understand about something. We learn more from communicating with each other, even when Kathleen's not here and I'm texting her and asking her, well, this is what I'd like to talk about. What do you think? What do you have to say about that? And also opening up this platform to you. So this is a particularly interesting platform to be on because it allows others to, as Tubai has already done, to actually be part of the conversation. So when I was researching this morning, it was very interesting to me because what I got was that what Jung would say about being grateful and angry at the same time, or grateful and something else at the same time, what I got was that rather than trying to be only grateful, gratefulness can open up all of ourselves to ourselves. And that Jung might say, yes, we can be both. And that forcing gratitude while bypassing harder feelings actually keeps us incomplete. It's about saying yes to our whole life, the shadows and all, when we accept both our gifts and our wounds. Then gratitude becomes real, not just a spiritual performance, but a deep relationship with who we actually are. So I've had a couple of interesting experiences related to that when I read that, I started thinking about these experiences. I started thinking about, first of all, I want to make sure that I can be heard. Since Kathleen's not here, I can't be absolutely sure that I'm heard. So let me know if I can and if my voice is loud enough. And I promise I will play some harp today as well. It's something that I'm very grateful for, that my hands have a voice through this instrument. But I also want to talk about explore two other things. One is that as a coach in Hip Harp Academy, where I'm teaching people to actually embrace their own capabilities, thank you, to embrace their own capabilities outside of I guess you'd call it a binary system of, is it good? Is it not good? Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? But actually to accept the level of technical ability that we have and to believe that full self-expression can happen at any technical ability. So I'm asking people to believe this and then coaching them in how they might do that with whatever technical ability they have. And that doesn't just mean like, well, if you don't have enough technical ability, then how can you adapt? It also means if you have technical ability in anything, you can bring it to an instrument and you can bring it to a stage and you can bring it to a place of conversation where you can combine these things. So part of what's particularly interesting to me about working with other people who play the harp at any level of technical ability, adults who have had a full, rich life, rich meaning full of achievements, accomplishments, surprises, failures, rich with all those things, is that people have stories. And my whole life has been about stories with music. So for me to be able to coach others in how to take whatever technical abilities they have on the harp and to be able to support that story, those stories of their lives, that they so they can share them with others, that is the word pig heaven comes to mind. It's just to be able to be in the center of that is so beautiful and delicious. And the main problem I see that people have coming into this arena is feeling that they're not good enough and they need to learn more. And while I am happy to teach them more, the deeper struggle is that often when we get the more that we think we need in order to make us worthy for our voices to be heard, we then find something else that doesn't allow us to speak forth. And what I've discovered, one little trick, and I bring it out every week, is that when we can find something to love in what we do, find something to appreciate, something to be grateful for, it opens up that territory. It opens up the territory of us, and it opens up the territory of others. And so I've discovered, and it's almost like a trick. I mean, literally, if I'm feeling resentful, or if I'm feeling angry, or if I'm feeling I'm not good enough, finding something to love, it just has this surprising openness. And when I read what I read today about Jung, and I wish Kathleen was here to speak about this, about his commitment to the full person, it makes me more and more interested in using this trick of love, this trick of gratefulness for something that I could either resent or be grateful for. And that's a choice on my part. It makes me more and more interested. What might I discover about myself, about life? What might I open up to about myself, about my life, simply through this one experience of choosing to experience gratefulness for what I'm experiencing. And I want to talk about a recent experience I've had in being hacked on Instagram, and how this gratefulness has come into the center of that. But first I want to, okay, all right. Okay, beautiful. So Victoria's saying, oh, I love today's topic. You're spot on with embracing the good and the bad. Life is a gradient, not black and white. Right. It's not that we want to, that we want to get rid of the thing that we think is bad. Well, let me tell you this story, and maybe this, so I recently, about 6 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit longer, got hacked on Instagram. And it happened in the way of, I don't know if many of you may have been hacked. I mean, more and more people are getting hacked. Someone comes in, changes your email address, changes your phone number, changes your password, boom, you're out. And there is supposedly a way that you could prove your identity and get back in. And yet things seem to have been changing in Meta, and now there is no way to get back in. I have found no way to get back in after many, many, many conversations, after joining Meta Verified so that I could actually have connection with a real person, so on and so forth. I have never been given the opportunity to verify my identity, even though my Instagram matches my website and my email address, and I have my first letter from Meta saying, or from Instagram saying, here, you have 5 followers. And even though I was recently named one of the top 40 harpist in Instagram, what do you call them, influencers, none of that none of that made a difference. But what was especially, and so now I'm in the point of like, okay, I can't get back in. Maybe I'll try again. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll try to request to verify who I am, or maybe I'll start a new account. But the most important thing that's come out of this for me is that up until this happened, I was constantly complaining to myself, why do I have to show up on Instagram? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to, just feeling it as a popularity contest and feeling really put upon that it was something that I have to do. Why do I have to go back to junior high school in a sense? And one big shift that happened for me that I'm so grateful for, and I really don't know if there's any other way that this could have happened, is that I've become grateful for the opportunity, regardless of what the system is like and what it should be like and blah, 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 become grateful for the opportunity to have a platform for self-expression. Up until being kicked out, I saw it as something I had to do and that I had to be good at, and that was a constant daily proof of how not good I was, so on and so forth. I was using that platform in a way to beat myself up. I just want to say that again so I hear it. I was using that platform to beat myself up. And many things have happened through the hack. First of all, I was aware that there was something in my head that was like, well, you deserve to have been hacked because you didn't follow the rules. You didn't have triple, quadruple, 70 gazillion, quadruple verification, something or another. I'm sure there was something I didn't do right. Immediately I thought there's something I didn't do right. And so now I'm aware of that. I'm aware that I carry that around with me. I became aware that I am resentful of anything in which I cannot ace it. And I don't know how else I would have learned these things. No matter how much someone had told these things to me, I would not have seen it that way. I would have felt and continue to feel, I would have continued to feel that this is something I have to do. I'm not doing it well, and I'm never going to get any better at it. And if I do, I'm going to get all this stuff. And this is stuff that lives inside of me. And it also lives inside of me that and I'm realizing this, I'm not like, hey, everybody, I already know this. This is what I began to understand and realize. It lives inside of me almost as if I'm looking for a story to pack this into. And so, and I'm afraid to do this. I am afraid to be grateful that this has happened. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking, wow, I'm afraid. I think so much that I can control this, or that all these stories, that I am afraid to be grateful that this has happened. And yet, if I were to feel grateful for it, and I will start in just 1 minute to feel grateful for it, what might open up? And here's where this is coming in my head. So in the academy where I teach, there are classes where the classes is already there. It's step-by-step learning, it's self-paced, and then there are also live sessions. And the primary live sessions each week, there's office hours and there's catch-up coaching, and those are not sort of organized. Those are just people have access to me and the other coaches. But on Monday, there are chats, and the chats are set up to have two parts to them. One in which I share an improv prompt, it's just a way to something that could be very simple to do, as just like say something like, so here's an improv prompt. Here's a shape. Oh, that's interesting. I guess I'm tuned in a certain way. I see I've got some extra things up. Okay, let me put this down. Although I really love that sound. Let me go back and get my harp. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. So I've got a shape here, and then I move it. I might move it up. So whether I'm in the correct tuning or I'm not in the correct tuning, what I'm doing is it's just a shape. And it's a concept, which is that I made a shape with the music and now I'm shifting it. I'm moving part of it. And then I can create that as a structure. So I'm doing the same thing over and over down here. And I also, so I'm just saying, this is what we do at the beginning of the chat. I show some kind of structure like that. That is a basic principle, like a first principle of improv, that you can keep one thing the same and you can shift the other things. And then you can create a pattern out of that. And then once you have a pattern, you can start doing other things with it. So it probably sounded like that. What is going on? I don't know. Okay, all right, I can hear it now. Something was weird in my head. And then there's ways to simplify it. So you might just go. And there's ways to take this one idea and to be fully self-expressed, meaning with this one pattern that focuses you, that is simple enough to engage with, you can take whatever else it is that is your part of your self-expression, whether that is, you could sing to that and you could keep singing. You could say all that you want to say with that shape, and you could take that shape and you could move it, and you're still doing the same shape. It's just moved. So it becomes a way to play around. You can, however, you could dance with it. You could, if you were a painter, you could paint pictures and make a video with the paint and it doesn't matter. The first part is all about having a way in, an improv prompt that allows you to be as self-expressed as you want. But the second part is always about feedback. And what that means is that people have shared something, some homework or an idea or something that they want feedback on in a very short video, like a 90-second video, and they are going to share their work with the rest of the group, which might be 25 to 45 people at any point. So this is very nerve-wracking for a lot of people to share their work, especially if it's someone who's just started playing the harp, for a year or two, sharing it with people who've been playing the harp all their lives, although it's often just as scary in the other direction, especially because everyone is committed to not hiding behind their technical proficiency, to not hide behind that, but to actually use whatever they have to be expressive. And so there's something that I say, and we call it my disclaimer, but it's certainly more like a claimer. Every week I say, as we watch each other's work as colleagues, and we want to leave that outside world where our heads have been stuffed, like our brains have been stuffed with these ideas. You're not good enough. You have to be better. You have to learn more. You don't know enough. You whatever, you name it, you name it, you've got, it. And then we've got that in our head and we're holding on to it for dear life because it feels like that's what we need to do to be safe. And therefore, when we watch other people, we're thinking, I'm not good enough, or they're better than me, or I could do it better than that, or why did they do it this way this time? I liked it better the way they did it before, or whatever we're saying. And we'd love to just be able to drop that, open our hands and drop that. And while we can, it's going to come back into our heads. And so we often need more in order to be able to just be present with other people's work, let alone our own work, our own playing, whatever we do. But if we can learn to be able to watch and embrace and see the gift in what other people are sharing, eventually we learn to be able to do that with ourselves. But it can be very difficult. And so there are a few other things that I always say to help, which is if your brain is going overtime on the compare and despair or comparing and whatever it is, find something to love. And if I can find something to love, even if it's in the room, it opens me up in a different way to what I'm experiencing. That's the first thing. Find something to love. And I find that helps me anytime, even if I'm out running and I'm grumpy because I'm thinking about my knees or something like that hurts. And really just reminding myself to find something to love allows me to be present to all of it rather than just sitting in the one thing that I think is wrong with me. The second thing that I always say is look for the gift. And this is something that I've learned in situations where people are telling stories about their lives and realizing that there is always a gift in that story for me. And they're often telling my story to me in a way that I don't know how to tell it. I'm just checking here. So getting present again. They're often telling my story in a way that I don't know how to tell it. And what I always say is there is a gift in whatever someone is sharing. Your job is to look for that gift. They don't know that it's there. They don't know they've got a gift for you. It's just attached. It's like hitchhiking on what they're saying, that gift for you. But you look for that gift and then you share that gift with them so they know what's come through. The result of this is that we can actually watch and we can gain from what anything that someone is sharing, but it also sets up the experience that we are going to be heard in the same way, at least within this enclosed community. We're learning to listen to each other in that way and to begin to trust that we will be heard in that way. And that's what I've learned about gratitude and how it can open up everything, not just the things we think we're grateful for, but it can open up every aspect of life. Now, I really want to pull on these comments that have been coming in. Okay. This is delicious. Okay. So Tobias says, we all have shame, and being aware of our shame is often the first step to getting to a place where it doesn't hold us back. Yes. Yes. Yes, I definitely find that the shame that I have about all kinds of things, and I'm still discovering what it is that I feel ashamed about, it shuts me down. I'm in a class right now. It's called Pitch Like a Pro. And I wanted to join this class because I feel that often I don't have the words to share what I love about something that I'm offering to people. And as part of this class, first of all, I've gotten these words, and it just feels like what a relief to be able to actually have the words to say what I love about something that I'm offering to you. Part of it is a networking challenge. And I just found that I start hiding more and more and more and more. And being part of this networking challenge, I was like, I don't want to go to a networking thing. No. And then I realized, well, you're going to the gobble, gobble, gobble race tomorrow. Why don't you network at the race? And so I did. I found 3 people who had on silly turkey hats. And I thought, those people, I want to know who those people are. And I introduced myself and said, hi, I'm Deborah. I'm in a networking challenge. And I told them what I was doing. And it was lovely. It was for 4 or 5 years, I've been going to the gobble, gobble, gobble race. And I'm always hoping I could meet somebody I'd be friendly with, I might run with or whatever. And not until today or yesterday was I able to, get through that shame of just like, I don't know, being a whatever, all the stuff in my head, not being a fast runner, I don't know, whatever it is. But yes, but I've seen that it shuts me down and where I'm holding myself back. So thank you so much for pointing that out. Thank you. I'm feeling such relief from your words. And Victoria saying, interesting experience you had there with Instagram. I got hacked because I'm not good at securing. I don't know. I don't. That's my thing, that I'm immediately convinced it's got to be my fault. I must have done something wrong. I must not have been safe enough. From what I've heard, this is happening more and more and more and more. There's less and less customer support. What they say is that you can prove your identity through this particular link, but as many times as I've asked for it over and over and over again, I have not gotten that link, no matter how many times. So maybe not. It most certainly has nothing to do with you as a musician and a coach. Oh no, the hacking, no. But it's representative of my resentment at showing up in a more public way, or my fear or whatever. But yes, thank you. It is an interesting experience. And Victoria saying, I do believe gratitude sends positive feedback to our brains, which in turn encourages us to do more. Imagine if we see every experience as failure, that gives no incentive to try again. Right. Yes. And I also am learning more and more and more about myself, and that when I am constantly trying to avoid failure, all my energy is focused on avoiding failure. And none of it is focused on actually getting out there and being expressive. And I'm wondering, for others, like I have an arena in which that doesn't exist. There is a place for me where I don't have that fear. Actually, 2 places. One is on a stage. Put me on a stage. It doesn't matter how many people. Give me an instrument. Let me sing. Let me tell a story. And I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in the right place doing the right thing. And the other is at a piano alone where nobody can hear me, where I'm exploring a story through words and music. And I know I have all the time in the world to do that. And I know that I can go through any level of wrong sounds, and I'm not going to, sounds that are not expressing what I want to express, and that it's fine. And it's frustrating, but I feel safe there. I want to read your comment again. Gratitude sends positive feedback to our brains, which in turn encourages us to do more. I don't know how you feel when I look for something to love. I literally feel like something opens, like almost like my veins or something are opening more, and more stuff is moving through them fast. And I'm very resistant to, I have it in my brain that if I am grateful for the Instagram hack, because it gives me a new, of all the reasons I'm grateful for it, that I am sometimes somehow allowing it to happen. And if I'm not grateful for it, I'm not allowing it to happen, as if I could control this thing. Or as if maybe I'm afraid of my own complacence or something. But thank you, Victoria. Right. When we experience it as failure, I just try to protect more and do it better, right? More rightness. Tobias says, life can take us through unpredictable twists and turns. If we accept the value in ourselves and the tools we have at that moment, then wherever it takes us is where we were always meant to be. You know, I wrote this play called The Golden Cage, which, by the way, I just put it on YouTube. It has not been on YouTube. It's been in more restrictive, but I put it on YouTube just yesterday, and I'm going to put it in here. And I want to say something about that from what Tubai has said. In this play, which I often feel is a map of my life, but a map showing me what life is going to be like, there's a scene, there's a construct in which someone's in a cage and someone's outside the cage, and the person outside the cage actually wants to be inside the cage, and they come up with this absurd, incantation that's going to take the other person out of the cage, even though it's a complete lie. And then there's this moment of just everything falls away, and there's just this moment of complete trust between these two people, even though, where they profess their trust, even though neither is trustworthy, neither is trusting or trustworthy, but yet there is this moment in which they experience trust. And after that, everything just completely falls apart, and people, and the person outside the cage, which is a bird person, is just does this awful thing, throws the other one off a cliff. And yet, that is how the resolution happens. That after that moment, everything gallops towards resolution. It looks at every moment as though it is not galloping towards that. At every moment, it looks as though it's the opposite. The opposite. And when it is the most opposite, it just shifts. And this is not through any brilliant crafting of mine, because I was simply following the line of the story. But what it tells me, and when you said, if we accept the value in ourselves and the tools we have at that moment, wherever it takes us, and as you're saying that, I'm thinking, what if it has nothing to do, right? What if it has nothing to do with where it takes us? It's who we are. What if we become something different, and therefore we think we're going somewhere else, but in fact, we've just become someone different. So then wherever it takes us, it's who or where and who we were always meant to be, or who we always were, without all that stuff that's been stuffed into our heads. Now, I hope I'm not twisting your words. And then Dubai said, and we can achieve so much as we are, right? That there's no limits as we are. And Victoria is saying, look for the gift. That is beautiful. It is beautiful. And the other thing that's really fascinating inside the Academy, so it's inside this closed, safe group, is that as people begin to share the gifts they're getting in the chat, or they might come up and say it on screen, often the gift comes through what they say. So simply by one person sharing the gift that they got, someone else then sees the gift that they got. And it starts to become this, I mean, it's the kind of community I always wanted to be in a community in which we are talking about music, not about how to get better, how to become more of who we are through that music. And then to be able to be part of it, of course, to be leading it and to be able to share everything I've learned I'm so grateful for that. And this is one of the things I've learned, what you're saying, look for the gift. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. It is, as you said that, thank you for your kind words. I'm thinking, right, when we hear words of kindness, it is something to be grateful for, that the words themselves can have an impact. And isn't that amazing? That the words themselves can have an impact. And going back to, what we're talking about, which is that having gratitude can open us up to both our gifts and our wounds, and which includes our resentments, our pain, and not as a spiritual performance, but as a deep relationship, opening us up to be grateful for and to be inhabiting who we actually are. And Tobias saying challenges can and are an opportunity, a catalyst for our transformation. Yes, I know. Yes. Now, one of the things that's really interesting to me is that often there are challenges that it's funny because they say in like the 12-step world, nobody comes strolling in. You're always come on your knees. You come in with the gift of desperation. You come in at the bottom and you bounce along the bottom sometimes. And so those challenges, what I'm getting at this moment is those challenges are what make us reach out. And I'm so interested because I just realized that the reason that I met these women at this race was because I was part of a challenge. And it wasn't my challenge. It wasn't a challenge I decided to take on, but it was a challenge of this class. And I was watching other people doing it, and I was thinking, well, I'm not going to do that part. And then I thought, wait a minute, why aren't you doing that part? Maybe you can do that part in your way. You can take on that challenge in your way. And what I'm getting from Tubai, what you just said, is the challenges there, the opportunity and the catalyst for our transformation. This transformation happened because I was willing to reach out. What if I kept reaching out? What if I kept going up to people and saying, hey, whatever, how long would I need to say I'm part of a challenge? Because that's what I needed to say in order to start the conversation. Because otherwise I just felt like an idiot walking up and say, hey, I'm Deborah Henson-Conant. I tell stories with music and blah, 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 whatever. And yet it was the reaching out. It was what happened. The people I met, what they said about their lives, what I learned about them, that opened up for me. Challenges can and are an opportunity and a catalyst for our transformation. I'm just seeing this. Oh my goodness, it's 10 a.m. Okay, so I want to see the rest of these, and then I'm off to a meeting. But this, thank you. Oh, thank you. Can't post messages to some channels. Okay, fine. Oh, thank you so much for this conversation today. I'm really would have loved to hear what Kathleen would say if she was here, and hopefully she will be back next week. In the meantime, I hope that you will go look at the golden cage that I just shared. I can't give you a quick link, but if you go to YouTube and look for Deborah Henson-Conant, or if you go to hipharp.com, which is my website. That's hip as in cool, harp as in the instrument.com. You will be able to find that. You'll be able to find many things if you go to my website. But thank you, and thank you so much for this exploration of the power of gratitude. Because of this conversation and everything that you've said today, I'm ready to accept the gift of the Instagram hack and be grateful, really, really embrace everything that I'm grateful for vis-a-vis that, including the opportunity that it gives, that Instagram does give, and all social media gives us, to make connection and to choose the connection, the richness of the connection, rather than the popularity of the connection. So I thank you for everything that you've shared today in every way, and for all the things that people come up and say afterwards. And on behalf of myself and Kathleen Wiley, thank you so much. And I hope you go forth and harp on all that is beautiful in this world. Harp on what you love. And we'll see you next week.
Visit jungatharp.com for show notes, contact links, and to follow the ongoing conversation. That's Jung, as in Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, and harp, as in the many-stringed instrument.